pretty much equal numbers of each in that. So I don't know. I think we're probably doing the right mix for our market.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So when you were, getting started with the mead side of the business, I'm assuming that you started out with smaller batches to try to test drive your, is this good theories. What sort of things did you run into as you were upsizing into, bigger batches and, ultimately into those 1,000-liter tanks?
Yeah. We were running some different ones just to test, what these spices would, ferment out like, and tried a few different fruit ones. But we didn't do a lot of that, really, once we decided, and I had the backing of, my experienced winemaker that, he said, we should never lose a batch because there's always something you can do to correct it and whatnot. So we pretty much dived into a 1,000-liter batch because, heck, we wanted to have lots to sell, and and it seemed to work out pretty good. We've had a few little humps and bumps that we've had to kind of work our way through, and, don't take shortcuts on the testing, like make sure you test it, make sure fermentation is completely stopped, and you're not going to have something start up again later in the bottle. That's not much fun.
No. Yeah, that
emptied
generally
out
ends
a few
in sadness.
Yeah. But no, it's good, and I kind of like that size of a tank, that we got. So we got 4 of those now, actually. We got a third one. Well, we had 3, so you could always be running 2 batches. Mm-hmm. And by adding 1 more, we really increased our capacity by 50%, not just 25 or 33%. So now we can have 3 batches going at any one time and still have a 4th tank for racking into and that.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't have as much of a cooling system as I want, but I'm working on that. I'm actually working on a deal to get a chiller in now to where we can actually cold stabilize at the end too, and I think that's going to be a big step of being able to control that at the end and getting it stabilized.
Interesting. So cold stabilization, as it happens, when we're doing the second half of the show and we talk about making mead, today's subject is stabilization.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And cold stabilizing is of course a big one. So does that what are you using, and how well does it work for you?
Oh, well, I'm not doing it yet. Or you mean
okay.
what? Yeah, I'm going to bring that. I mean, right now we're just doing anything we can to keep our, fermentation temperature down enough, and then when we're done, we're using sulfite or something to make sure we're stopping it, and then just that's all we're doing. But I think the cold stabilize is supposed to be a better way to make sure you've got the yeast activity permanently stopped.
Yeah.
And not going to rev up again.
So do you do a lot of experimentation to fine-tune each recipe, or do you just make stuff and go with it?
We used to do more, and my son James wants to do a couple of braggots and stuff, so he's on the verge of trying some of those, because we haven't even experimented with that yet. So, but I started a couple of big batches and just decided, to add some hops and try a couple of things like that, some dandelion honey with one and a couple other spices that we thought might be a good complements. And I don't know, some of them took an extra year to sell, but it wasn't a year that was on the bad side of it. I think if anything, they were usually getting better, not worse in that last year that we held them to sell them. So, yeah, I don't know. There's always, things to be trying. And at one point we did about, 10 or 15 different small batches, each one with an individual spice, to see what those would be like. And then we bottled off or packaged off those meads into separate containers, and then we've drawn from some of those. So what would it taste like to, blend coriander with, I don't know, marjoram or whatever you were using on the day to want to see, and oranges and types of fruits like that too that weren't really local but really had a distinct flavor. And I don't know, as I go closer into retirement, I want to do more of that, experimenting with stuff like that. It seems like I get less time for it now instead of more yet, but I'm going to change that, and I've kind of got a recipe in mind.
Oh, okay.
For that too. But no, it's been fun. It's been interesting and learning. Like there's. I wish I had a better chemistry background. I think I would highly recommend that for anyone to dig into their old high school textbooks or what they have resources to. Well, nowadays with the internet, it's all there, really, isn't it? If you could still put your mind into study mode and learn it.
Yeah. That's unfortunately for me, chemistry always makes my eyes glaze over. So
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
very
and for
good
some
at
people,
it in college. It wasn't my area.
Yeah. I can't say it was my first area of expertise either, but.
So now you guys are running it's a family business, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've got two kids working with me now. Yeah, my son went on to university, got his degree in computer sciences, and has always been, building computers for us and networking and stuff like that. So he does that, but he's into learning kind of all aspects of it. He's still only like 24 years old, so can't rush him. Yeah,
No.
You got to let him walk before you expect him to run.
Oh yeah.
And then my daughter kind of went on and did a graduate school in marketing and working in wineries and stuff like that. So she's here for the summer now, working with us with the Honeymoon Mead, and that's been a great gift to the business. I'm not sure if she's going to stay yet, or at what point she's got a boyfriend over on Vancouver Island that's kind of got a pretty tough pull on the other side.
Yeah, that tends to lure them away. Well, maybe you can lure the boyfriend off of Vancouver Island.
Well, that's a possibility too.
Over to the mainland.
He's a firefighter. He's a fireman, and firemen's jobs are usually pretty hard to.
Yeah,
I see.
can't just pick up and go.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway,
who handles the business side of things? Is it you, your wife, the kids?
Mostly me, I think, still, although I've got James working into a lot of that, and I've got Olivia doing so much of the marketing aspects of it now, like the printing, the brochures, and the media stuff, and going to markets and mead tastings and all that kind of stuff. Farmers markets now we go into, and it's not so much to make the big sales at those markets. It's just to build that awareness and drive traffic to the store. Which is open 7 days a week anyway in that. So
yeah. Well, and getting the word out, that's the big thing. One person, one place at a time, and that's how you do it.
Yeah. But I've kind of been a little bit of an entrepreneur and had my own businesses now since the 80s and stuff. So, that aspect of it has not been so difficult for me or challenging, I guess.
Yeah.
Once you get it to where it's making money, then it's pretty easy to, or a lot easier to manage it. That it seems like when you're stressed out over how you're going to make ends meet and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, that really does make a huge difference. Once you're in that positive cash flow place, it makes it a lot easier to make decisions. So, I'm gonna hand off to AJ here. I can see I'm looking at the show page and she's got her finger on a question there.
Oh yeah, okay.
Just wondering if you have a business philosophy.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a few things. One of the first ones I heard that kind of admired to me, and I guess my dad taught me that about service. If you're providing a good service and giving people something they want, you can quite naturally make money for it with it, by doing it, sort of a thing, eh? It just kind of one comes with it. So, and with him, it's always been good service, and for me, it's good products, eh? Good quality products, and service after the sale. But I guess one of the other things is I get lots of inquiries. Oh, would you like to export that honey to China, or these big pie in the sky dreams and stuff? And I'm way past that. If I can't follow up and continue to supply to service that growth or that expansion, I don't want it. Why get yourself out there in 10 different ways and then find out that you can't service it, you can't make enough, or you don't have the facility. So. Yeah, walk comfortably before you try to run, and now we look for the easier ways to get into the higher margin aspects of it rather than volume. It's about, I don't know, that just seems to be the route that's been working for us.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because, one of the things I teach my marketing consulting clients is go for the low-hanging fruit, because it's easy to go for those pie-in-the-sky dreams and figure, oh my gosh, I can expand into 16 countries, but and there's a perfect example. Mike Fall at Rabbit's Foot. He was in like 32 states, and he realized that the bulk of his business was actually going through his tasting room. So he pulled everything back, and he's only in a few states now, and their business actually increased because he focused on that low-hanging fruit, and it made a huge difference for them, and made it easier for them to manage things because they weren't trying to juggle 32 states. So
Yeah. But there was nobody that he could have learned that from other than from himself, and give him full marks for going out there and finding that out a lot quicker. Other people might have spent a lifetime learning that and never got the learning from it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately now with the AMMA and the fact that these guys are reaching out and starting to teach some of the new kids coming up the pike, hopefully some of them will be able to pick that up without having to go down that road, if that's not the right road for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. This people who pioneered the path, learned a lot from the School of Hard Knocks, but hopefully we can reduce that for the the generations coming behind us, eh?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, I think I have a good feeling when I can share stuff like that, and just say to people, it was tough for us. We had no textbooks on it. We kind of had to trial and error and do it, work it the hard way. But now we've learned a few things, and I don't mind sharing it with them at all. I always said that about our industry too. There's no competitors. I don't consider anybody else competition, really, unless there's somebody that's making a poor product and they're just turning people off of mead. Then it's working against us as an industry. But heck, more people out there sharing and getting people enlightened with honey wines, mead products, and stuff like that is only good for the industry. They're not a competitor at all. They're a fellow mead maker. And, I feel good about that.
Yeah, we have a really tight-knit community. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about being part of this world is how so many of the people in it believe in that a rising tide floats all boats philosophy. I've always admired that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So totally, yeah.
Well, for those of us who are not beekeepers and wish we knew more about it, could you talk a little bit about the process that gets the honey from the hive to the fermenter or the store?
Yeah. I mean, I worked with a lot of commercial beekeepers when I was younger and stuff, and that's what we did was big honey crops. And in northern Alberta, for example, we had 1,000 colonies of bees, and in the first year I worked for this fellow, we ran 2 queen systems with double queens and had a super bumper crop, 390 pounds of honey per colony on 1,000 colonies. So we learned about hard work and how to optimize honey production from beehives. And, a lot of it is timing. There's just a window of, 2 or 3 or 5 weeks in the long honey flowing areas, really, when honey is really coming in. And you've got to plan the population of your colonies to be maximum at the time that the honey flow hits. If the population gets too high too soon, you've got swarming and your bees are all hanging in the trees and they're not making any honey for you up there. And if you're too late, it's over. Like the honey can be coming in 10 or 20 pounds a day for a week or 2 or 3, and then suddenly the weather changes and you get a cold snap come in overnight and there's snow on the ground on the 15th of August or something. It's over, just like that. And so you've got to pack it all up and get the honey off the hives. It'll always break up again, or the weather will clear up and warm up again after that happens. But really your honey flows over, right? The flowers have kind of stopped producing and stuff like that. So anyway, I guess in those steps, honey is stored in the combs with cappings of wax. So you've got to cut well, first you got to get the bees off of those combs, and there were different ways we'd done that. We used a lot of bee blowers where you had high pressured air and blow the bees off, and that does get them a little upset.
I can imagine.
Other times you could brush them off, you could shake them off, and then you haul your honey combs and boxes back to your extracting plant, and then you've got to have it warm